Hello aspirants, looking at current affairs for 23rd November. The news items which we have picked up from the Hindu newspaper for today are these 10. We'll discuss them in detail. The first one, militants mutilate soldier's body, kill 2 others in ambush. So we have seen that India-Pakistan tensions across the border continue unabated. There have been many ceasefire violations, ceasefire across the LOC as well. So this is the LOC, you can see, line of control. This is Pakistan occupied Kashmir, and even in Jammu and Kashmir we have some part which is the international border. So this is the international border within Jammu and Kashmir too, and then international border further also has Punjab, Rajasthan and Gujarat sharing border with Pakistan. So presently we are seeing cross-border firings across the LOC and international border within Jammu and Kashmir. So here we have seen that it all started with the Uri terror attacks. So Uri in Jammu and Kashmir, the army unit here was attacked by the terrorists, and post this was on September 18. And post this on September 29, India conducted surgical strikes in the POK across the LOC. So after this, we have seen that cross-border firings continue unabated. And then on October 28, we got the news about a soldier's body, Indian soldier's body being mutilated by terrorists near LOC. So now again we have hearing the news that 3 soldiers, Indian soldiers, were killed in ambush, and one of the soldiers' body was again mutilated. Mutilated means spoiled. So body mutilation is what we have been hearing now. It has been severely condemned by the Indian army. Pakistan side on its part refutes such charges. It says no such act took place, but then the fact is here with us. And plus we also accuse Pakistan of firing to provide cover to terrorists. So during cross-border firings, it is seen that terrorists get a cover and they can easily slip across the LOC into Indian side. So this is another accusation which India puts on Pakistan. Then the next news item is, so this is the Machil sector. Even the previous October mutilation also happened here, and even present mutilation of a soldier's body was in this sector, Machil sector in Jammu and Kashmir. Then the next news item is Balamurali Krishna, master of Carnatic music, passes away. So what is important for us here is Carnatic music as part of culture. So what is Carnatic music? It is one of the 2 subgenres of Indian classical music, the other being Hindustani music. So Indian classical music has 2 subgenres, Hindustani and Carnatic. Carnatic music is basically associated with southern India. Also, it is practiced in Sri Lanka. So, what are the basic features of both these? Similarities between the 2 music systems plus also the differences we'll see. The basic elements are same in both. So, Shruti. Shruti means relative musical pitch. Swar, the musical sound of a single note. Swar. Then Rag, the melodic formula of a combination of swars. Then Tal, the rhythmic cycle. So all these basic elements are same for Hindustani and Carnatic music. But then what is difference? The difference is in Carnatic music there is more emphasis on vocal music than on instruments, and in Hindustani music both are given importance. Hindustani music improvisations are given, are encouraged, but in Carnatic music the compositions which are there, they are emphasized on, and improvisations are not there in Carnatic music. So these are the standard differences to which you generally hear of. In Carnatic music, we have also the trinity of Carnatic music, the 3 important personalities. They are Tyagaraja, Muthuswami Dikshitar and Shyama Shastri. So these 3 are called trinity of Carnatic music. Then differences, as you can see here, listed in a table format too. Hindustani practiced in North India, Carnatic practiced in South India. That is the standard major difference first of all. Then the rags are divided into That as per this system. So these are technical terms. You may or may not remember. It's okay. In objective type question, there may not be a question on this. Rags are divided into Melakarta as part of this Carnatic music system. So second point you can avoid. Time of singing of each raga is strictly observed, and rags are sung only according to their time, and there is no time theory in Carnatic music. Rags can be sung anytime. So there is a particular raga for a particular time, particular period. That time it should be sung. So that is there in Hindustani music. There are various gharanas in this system. So there are different types of Hindustani gharanas. You must have heard of various gharanas. So Lucknowi and all such gharanas are there in Hindustani music. There are no gharanas in classical music, Carnatic music. So also this difference is also linked to improvisations. As it says, improvisations are given more importance here. So since there are improvisations, there are variations. So there are various gharanas. But in Carnatic music, compositions are given more importance. There are no improvisations which are emphasized on. So there are no improvisations. Actually, they are not allowed. So then there are no gharana classification. There are no differences. So there is only one form of Carnatic music. Then it is equally divided between vocal and instrumental music. But here in Carnatic, as we saw, it is more inclined towards vocal music. Instrumental music is also practiced, but emphasis is on vocal music. And then Shruti concept is not practiced in detail in Hindustani. So Shruti was musical pitch. And in Carnatic music, musical pitch, Shruti is given much emphasis and is practiced in detail. So these are the differences which you should remember. Then the next news item is old coaches turn death traps. We already saw this in editorial yesterday about the recent accident which took place on the Indore-Patna Express. So there anti-telescoping feature, which is a feature of LHB coaches, Link Hoffman Bush coaches, which are German design and are produced in Kapurthala in India. They have not been used in all trains in India. So 85% of the Indian train coaches in India are not having these LHB coaches. They are ICF coaches, integral coach factory coaches. So they are not equipped with anti-telescoping feature, which is a feature of LHB coaches. So anti-telescoping feature means that they will not turn turtle when they are derailed, go off the track. So turning turtle means turning ulta, upside down. So this is anti-telescoping feature. So telescoping means turning turtle. So they did not have anti-telescoping feature. So this is one of the major reasons because of which even the rakes jump off the rails and they result in drastic loss of lives. So this Anil Kakodkar committee, again which we discussed yesterday in editorial, in 2012 it submitted its report on railway safety, and it suggested that all coaches in the Indian railway system should be switched over to LHB. So the railways has also decided that from 2018 onwards ICF coaches will not be produced at all, and gradual shift to LHB coaches has been emphasized on. So it is said that LHB coaches work best for high speed, and presently the trains which are running at the speed of 100 to 120 km per hour. So at this operational speed, it is required that LHB coaches are used and not ICF coaches. Presently in India, LHB coaches are used only for high speed premium trains like Rajdhani and Shatabdi. So this is a switch required. Also the railway board has said that the frequency of ultrasonic fault detection test would be increased. It was done on a monthly basis. So now it will be done on a bi-weekly basis, fortnightly basis. So this is also a suggestion. This Anil Kakodkar committee's recommendations we discussed yesterday too. About LHB coaches also we discussed in detail yesterday. You can look at the editorial video of yesterday too. And this is the ultrasound detection test. So this is the machine which does this. What is an ultrasound detection test? Test to see if there is a fracture. So if the rail track has fracture or something, then there are chances that the train would derail. So this detection of a fracture is done through ultrasound. So what is an ultrasound? This is how it is done. So if there is a fracture, say here, then the ultrasound, the time which the sound wave takes to travel, reach and come back is checked. So if there is a fracture, then this will be the wave which will be resulting out of it. So this shows that there is some fracture which is present, so it can be easily detected. So this is an ultrasound test which is done. Generally it is done in all industries. This is the way it's done in railways tracks too. So that if there is any problem, it can be easily detected, rectified, and such derailments and accidents can be avoided. Then the next news item is Agni missile test fired. So we have seen Wheeler Island quite often now. It's off Odisha coast where integrated test range of India is located, and Agni 1 was also test fired here. So it was fired from a massive truck, a road mobile launcher, and it was targeting an area in the Bay of Bengal. So it took this liftoff and target was reached. The mission lasted 10 minutes and it has been declared successful. So Agni series of missiles have been developed by India, by DRDO, Defense Research and Development Organization. So these are the 5 Agni missiles which we are developing. The Agni 1 series now, so it was a routine testing which was done. So Agni 1 has already been tested earlier. This was another routine test done. So this is short range ballistic missile. What is a ballistic missile too? We'll see. So this is SRBM. So it is a single stage missile. Range will be short. So 700 to 1200 km. Then medium range ballistic missile, Agni 2. Range increases. Agni 2 plus is intermediate, is another one of a little higher range. Plus then Agni 3 is intermediate range ballistic missile, which is more than medium range too. And Agni 5 is ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missile. So it can go across continents too. So that range is 5000 to 8000 kilometers. So these are the 5 Agni series missiles of India. Plus you can see what is a ballistic missile too. So ballistic means, in general the term means an object which once blasted off. It's generally used for missiles only. So a missile once blasted off follows its own natural path under gravity. So the projectile, the path, the curve which it follows. So it will go up and under the force of gravity, then move down and reach a particular point as that which is the target. So this projectile is on the basis of gravity. So it is not guided further. So once blasted off, it moves on its own projectile under gravity. So this, of course, the path is known, because at what force the missile is blasted, we know what will be the projectile it would follow and where it would land. So that is based on the basis of what is targeted, where is the target, the missile will be blasted off from a particular point. So this is a ballistic missile as opposed to a cruise missile. So in a cruise missile, after being blasted off too, it is guided. So there is force which continues to be exerted on it to guide it through the path. So that is called a cruise missile. So these are the differences. Quasi-ballistic means that after it is basically a ballistic missile, but at some point force also externally is applied on the missile. It does not go just with the basis of gravity. An anti-ballistic missile is a term which is used for missiles which act as shield. So ballistic missiles attacking a particular country, the country has a missile shield, so which is targeting these ballistic missiles. So such a missile is called anti-ballistic missile. So it's just a term. Then other type which I said, cruise missiles. So these are the cruise missiles. The famous one is BrahMos, which is joint development of India and Russia. So it's a supersonic cruise missile. So this supersonic also basically is with respect to speed. So subsonic, supersonic and hypersonic are 3 terms with respect to speed of sound. So at the speed of sound, it is said to be Mach 1 speed. So subsonic means less than speed of sound, so that is less than Mach 1. Supersonic means Mach 1 to Mach 5. So this range, and beyond Mach 5 it is called hypersonic. So these are the terms too. So what we have presently is BrahMos, which is a supersonic cruise missile. Then the next news item is BJP Congress not violated FCRA. Centre tells Supreme Court. So FCRA is Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, which was passed in 2010 too. So this act regulates foreign contribution to NGOs and other authorities in the country. So these are contributions. These are like donations, funding. These are not of commercial nature. So those aspects are excluded here. So basically whatever funds are coming in the country, they are not used for any anti-national activities, and putting a check regulation on this is what is done through this act. So funding is given also to political parties. So BJP Congress have also received funds. So whether these funds are coming from foreign sources or not is to be checked, because foreign sources funding are not allowed under FCRA. So in 2014, a Delhi High Court ruled that the funding which came to BJP and Indian National Congress in 2007-8, those years, it was a foreign source funding. So it should be it is violation of FCRA, and the parties should be prosecuted for this. So they have appealed to the Supreme Court, and in the Supreme Court the centre is now saying that the contributions which were done also come under the amendment which they did to the FCRA in 2010. So the amendment in 2010 was from retrospective effect, means is effective even before the year it was amended. So 2010 से पहले भी applicable है. So that's the idea, retrospective effect. So though done in 2010, applicable even before. So this provision will save it from coming under the violation of FCRA. So what is the idea is 2014 agreement of Delhi High Court judgment was that it is a violation because Vedanta, which is a London-based multinational company whose funding is in question presently in this case to both BJP and Congress. So it says that Vedanta is a foreign company under Companies Act. So that is why it is a foreign source under FCRA 2 and it is violation. But then the center says that 2010 amendment, which says that foreign source is those in which more than one half of the share capital is owned by foreign entities. But in Vedanta's case, the more than half the shares are held by Indians. So that is why according to that definition, it is not a foreign company and therefore there is no FCRA violation. So everything depends on whether the retrospective effect is applicable or not. So that will save them. So Supreme Court is looking into the matter. We'll have to wait and watch what happens. So these are the FCRA regulations you can see to ensure transparency in foreign funding, to ensure that such funds are not used for anti-national activities. So regulation, all these aspects are covered under this. Then the next news item is India joins CERN as an associate member. CERN is European Organization for Nuclear Research. So it's an European organization. The CERN is the acronym in French, so it's a little different. So this is having the world's largest nuclear and particle physics laboratory. So it is known as the operator of Large Hadron Collider, which founded even the Higgs boson particle in 2012. We have done Higgs boson earlier too. We'll revise it right now too. So in this CERN organization, which is headquartered in Geneva, here India had an observer status since 2004 and now the news is that we have become an associate member. Pakistan became an associate member in 2014 itself. So India was a little reluctant, but now we have gone ahead and become an associate member. So an associate member will have to pay a fee too. So that is 1/10 of the fee a member pays, a full-fledged member, and that is rupees 78,000 crore annually for an associate member. So this is what India will pay annually, and it will not get any voting rights still. Voting rights are only for full members. So that will be the way decisions would be taken. So voting rights would not be given. But then Indian companies can be allowed to bid for the engineering contracts, which are large, huge, lucrative engineering contracts, which CERN puts forth for sophisticated equipment, software, instruments which it requires. So Indian companies can also bid here. Also Indians can apply for staff positions in CERN. So those will be the benefits which India would get, and would get closer membership with this scientific organization. So this is in news. So Indian scientists have played a major role in various experiments too, with CERN also, as we saw with the Large Hadron Collider, we were associated. Also the compact muon solenoid experiment, which was conducted by CERN too, India was associated from scratch. So these are two large experiments which CERN is undertaking, and this led to the discovery of Higgs boson as well. So India has close association. So now it has enhanced its association. So this is CERN. Basically it's European. So even USA is an observer. So it has having observer status only. Russia, USA, all these are observers. It's a little old data, but then 21 we have 22 members. So one candidate for accession was Romania. So it has also become a member. And associate members which we see, Pakistan is already a member. Now even India has become an associate member. So this is CERN. This is the Large Hadron Collider. So I could not get a clearer picture, but this is a very detailed picture on Large Hadron Collider. So what is Large Hadron Collider trying to do? So it is a fact that entire universe is made up of subatomic particles. So there were many types of such particles, and during the time of Big Bang, just after Big Bang, there were many particles which existed, but then now they cannot be observed in today's world. So what were these particles which existed? To understand them, to understand the evolution of the universe, these experiments are being conducted. So this Large Hadron Collider is a collider in which two particle beams, proton beams, are passed through, and when they strike, for a small split second of a time, these subatomic particles are generated, and that is how they detected the Higgs boson particle 2. So we'll see what is Higgs boson 2 here. So these are various components of this experiment too. So this you see is the Large Hadron Collider. So this is the proton beam, 2 proton beams which they pass through. So this strike and that detection in the sun. This pipe which you see here, this is the actual full scale view of it through which the beams pass. So this Higgs boson model, if you remember, we have done standard model of particle physics. This was done on 14th November in current affairs. You can look at that video too. So to understand the whole concept of standard model of particle physics and various forces and how matter is formed based from these quarks and leptons and these force providing bosons. So presently Higgs boson is a type of boson which is a missing link in this current standard model, which explains how everything gains mass. So this is the elusive Higgs boson particle which we are trying to discover and which was discovered in this Large Hadron Collider in 2014. Then the next news item is, for jute workers in Kolkata, the seams come undone. So in jute industries, we see some workers who are known as ghost workers. So ghost workers, they work at night. They are also called zero number workers. So they are unknown, faceless workers who work for these jute factories. They come in truckloads at night and leave in the morning. They are daily wage earners. They are paid in cash. They are paid little higher than the general shift workers too in the morning, regular workers. So these workers get a little higher pay too. Plus even the workers who are working in the day shift can double up their income through working as night shift workers. So this has completely been stalled now because of the demonetization, because there is no cash to provide to these daily wage earners. So this is the problem which is being faced. Also it is said that a benefit of demonetization would be that these workers would also come under the payroll. So if they are being paid not through cash but through check or bank transaction, then their payments are being done on a regular basis and they can come under the category of regular paid workers. So they will get various benefits also. So provident fund, gratuity, these benefits would also be, securities would also be provided to these workers. So there will be some deductions from their pay too. So that is also a fear which these workers have. Plus also based on what pay they are getting and the Food Security Act, which is applicable to them presently, based on which they get food at very cheap, food grains at very cheap prices, rupees 1, 2, 3, food grains and pulses. So these also, the benefits which they get would be deprived from them because of the wages which will be calculated now based on this online transactions or bank transactions which would take place. So this is also a fear amongst the workers. They don't want any deductions, plus they keep on shifting. Sometimes they work in one place, and this is the case with all workers. So in the later second article, it talks of all workers. So even these ghost workers, so these are terms which you should know. Sometimes UPSC asks you terms. What are ghost workers in jute industry? You can't say. So these workers, daily wage earners in general, have this problem because one, they say they don't want deductions done, also because they keep on shifting. There's no permanent place where they keep working for long. So then these deductions, how to manage them would be difficult for them, and they want more cash in hand. They don't want these deductions. So there are certain their own priorities too, plus even the employer is a little reluctant because then labor laws will be applicable on them as they would be part of the employment team. So these provisions they want to avoid. So on both sides there is a resistance, but of course the best way to have is to have regular pay through a regular means, formal means, and this informal form of workers should be avoided. So let's see how this transition also takes place. But the demonetization initiative has brought this to the fore too. So this can be molded in a positive manner and benefit for both could also accrue. Also, you should know that 75% of the workforce in India do not have any written legal contract. 80% of the workers do not get any social security benefit. So of course, there is a huge potential for change here. Then the next news item is IS used chemical arms 52 times in Syria and Iraq. So there is a news coming in of chemical weapons, that is chlorine and sulfur mustard agents being used by IS, Islamic State, in Syria and Iraq. So in Iraq it has Mosul as its capital and Raqqa is its capital in Syria. Both are under attack presently by the opposition forces. So let's see what happens, but this is a dangerous proposition that they are using chemical weapons. So chemical weapons have been used historically. You can see here it has been used in World War I. So Germany was the first to use poison gas in a war, and then later it was used by both sides, the Axis forces and Allied forces in World War I. Then Italy used it in 1935 against Ethiopia, a country in Africa. Then in World War II again it was used by Japan in China. Various attacks took place using chemical weapons. Then in 1962 to 67, during the Vietnam War, America used these herbicides and tear gas on Vietnam. Then Iraq is known to have used it from 1980 to 88 against Iran and Kurds. Then in 1995 they were used in Tokyo city also. Then in 2013 we know about even Bashar al-Assad, the president of Syria, who attacked his own citizens with chemical weapons. So then later even Syria was brought on track. It was asked to sign the Chemical Weapons Convention too. So these were the regions which of course were going into the hands of IS, Islamic State, and now Islamic State is also using chemical weapons. So this has come up. So this sarin was the chemical which was used by Syria, Bashar al-Assad. So it is a gas which results in lung congestion, coma, tremors, and even eventually death. So this is the case. Then the next news item is China agrees to import rice from 17 mills in India. So we know that India-China trade deficit is huge. So we import a lot from China, but India's exports to China are quite less. So India wants China to expand exports. So China has now decided, this was India's demand only. So China has now agreed that it will import rice, both non-basmati and basmati varieties, from 17 mills in India. These 17 mills were also inspected by Chinese officials earlier, and this National Plant Protection Organization is the nodal organization under which these rice mills have to be registered to. So these registered rice mills were inspected, and now the approval has been given. So the fear of China why the rice was not imported was because of khapra beetle. So this is a beetle, a pest which is found in rice in India. So there were fears that this also would be transported along with the non-basmati rice to China. So on such quality and health and safety grounds, China was rejecting imports from India. So now it has allowed 17 mills in India to import. So this is the news. So this will help a little in reducing the trade deficit too. So these are the news items today. Thank you.